Hello and welcome to the Morningstar series Ask the Expert. I'm Emma Wall and I'm joined today by Morningstar's Jeremy Beckwith. Hi Jeremy.
Morning.
So we're here today to talk about emerging markets funds. We're running an emerging markets week this week, and rather timely by coincidence. Mark Mobius, probably one of the best well-known investors in this sort of stock market, has actually announced that he is stepping down as lead manager on the Templeton Emerging Markets Trust. He's held that position for quite some time, hasn't he?
That's right. He was at launch, he was the lead manager, and that was in 1989. So it's well over 25 years now, so quite some record. I think it's fair to say he was well over 50 when he did that. So he's not a young man, and so it's quite all right that he steps down at this point, I think.
And over that time, he's made a significant amount of money for investors. He's one of the few people who has seen both the Asian financial markets crash and indeed the global recession and then the more recent taper tantrum. So he has seen really complete market cycles and invested money through those, although the last 5 years have been a bit more tricky for him, haven't they? That's
right. There's a very strong value orientation to the whole approach at Templeton. Goes back to Sir John Templeton all those years ago, and that held them well during all those various bear markets, as you say, and there was also the tech crisis at the beginning of the century. The last 5 years have not been so good for Templeton's performance. And there have been a few doubts expressed, perhaps they're slightly losing their touch, but it is a very well-resourced and large team that they've built there, and the long-term record is still very, very good.
So investors shouldn't panic about him stepping down, because it's more sort of to the side and down a bit, isn't it? It's not sort of leaving the building.
That's right. He's stepping down as the lead manager on the trust, but he will still remain one of the portfolio managers on the team running the trust. They're bringing in a new lead manager who's relocating to London from Turkey, who's a very experienced and long-standing member of the Templeton team.
And putting that fund aside then, because as you said, it's not had a great 5 years, and as a result, it's not one of the higher rated ones by our analysts here at Morningstar. Perhaps we could highlight a couple of fund managers who we do think are the best of the bunch, starting with an open-ended fund.
So on the open-ended side, we like the Lazard Emerging Markets Fund. James Donnell's the manager there. He's led the emerging market teams Lazard since 2001 and been the lead manager of the trust since 2008. Very consistent record. Templeton has a value approach to markets, but has done it in a steadier sort of pattern of performance. So we're very comfortable with that on the open-ended side.
Fantastic. And what about on the closed-end side?
On the closed-end side, there's a little bit less choice. We like the JP Morgan Emerging Markets Investment Trust. Again, a large fund, but this is a quality growth approach. So a different style of investment to what Templeton and Mobius have done. But I think JP Morgan, like Templeton, have a very, very large global team of analysts and portfolio managers in emerging markets. And so particularly well-resourced, I think, and that's a bronze-rated investment trust.
And I think emerging markets is one of those sectors where resource really is everything, because they're not as transparent, and they're not as efficient as developed market equities. You know, we can go onto the internet, onto our own site, and find out a lot of information about a stock listed, for example, in London or in New York. However, if you're thinking about a more obscure region, a smaller Asian country, having a resource that we can really dig out those gems is important.
I think that's right, and having people on the ground in those countries who understand how business works in those countries, and I think it is very valuable. I think you get a lot more information by doing that. So big, well-resourced teams within emerging markets, I think, are very useful.
Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Emma Wall for Morningstar. Thank you for watching.